with the two dogs now. I still don't have more dogs than I used to. I still have three. Jack is probably on his way out. Him and Axel were buds, and they were about the same age, and he's got some serious issues. So I just pray for his comfort because I am personally good on seeing being suffer, but it is what it is here. And I'm going to ramble for a minute or two like I always do. That way I can wait and see if anyone wants to show up. So this is going to be kind of a mashup of things. Because here's the thing. Every time I research a topic, all these rabbit holes, they all seem to be leading to the same sources. And I'm glad that we're able to do this in real time, live. I do trust that, I'm a believer in God. I hope you're not offended by that and you'll still stay to hear the information no matter what I say about my faith. I think we should all be sharing. You're welcome here. If if you're not the same as me, you're more than welcome here, actually, because that's how we learn, is from those who are different than us and have a different perspective. And perspective is just the point at which you are standing and viewing this life from. And so, of course, we each have a different perspective. I can only speak for what happens from which I see behind my eyes. And so the testimony part is not meant to be narcissistic. I want to say that because I'm going to touch on a couple things here that might sound harsh, but certain things need said. And I'm going to give my honest opinion or interpretation of a story, okay? And we're going to look at it as a story with characters because, frankly, when you don't know a person intimately like yourself in real life, that's all they are to us. Should that be how we perceive them all the time? No, I'm saying for the sake of learning how the media will present a story to us and will frame something to us, or anyone who is trying to influence you, when they present a thing to you or a concept to you or an idea to you, they're going to do their best to sell it to you, right? They have a reason or a motivation or an agenda for wanting you to believe or say or do something in something, or to do or say something. There's a reason for that. There's a motivation behind that. And we have to be very aware of that because we are constantly bombarded by billboards driving down the road, by bumper stickers, by t-shirts, messages in podcasts and radio shows, NPR, mainstream radio, mainstream television. I could go on and on, probably ad nauseum, for hours, listing all of the different ways that we are attempted to be manipulated and influenced. So we need to be aware of what's happening. And I think that's important. That's one of the reasons we gather together on this channel, is to share. And so you're welcome here, no matter what you believe in. I do believe in God. And so I believe that everybody that needs to hear this message will. I believe that all things happen for a reason. It's going to sound cheesy or corny, and I can give an in-depth perspective sometime if someone wants to hear my opinion. I try not to do that a whole lot. But again, I'm not an actor. I don't have sponsors behind me. I don't even edit, just for the sake of sincerity, because there is not any of that happening today. Our kids basically come out of the womb knowing how to pose for a camera, and all of that is a facade. That is a mask that we wear for each other, and it has become so prevalent in our society that we are seeing these strange physical manifestations of things. And I feel like this is one service that I can do. I don't drive. I don't fly, although I would fly just to see what's going on down here. and have a different perspective. You know, you have to be willing to change your perspective and put yourself in somebody else's shoes sometimes. So we're going to be doing some of that, but we're also going to be just looking real world and saying, okay, this is how this is being sold to us. Do we believe it this way? And what does hypnotism have to do with that? Well, it has everything to do with that, because that is how these concepts are sold to you. I took marketing classes, so I understand that repetition is the best form of marketing and sales. And I'll say that again because it was drilled into my own head. Repetition is the most effective way or brand of marketing and sales, or just influencing and manipulating and swaying people's thoughts and behaviors. If you say something enough to someone, they will believe it. The Bible even says faith comes by hearing. Whatever you're listening to the most, even if you think it's not affecting you, it is. And most people don't want to hear that. They want to think that they are in control of everything. But trust me, pride does come before the fall. I was in that position. I was beginning to be an influencer. I had a really good resume. Things were going really well for me until I started looking at certain things and noticing certain things. And I will say Ohio is a very, very strange place. There are a lot of strange things that go on here. You guys know this just by this testimony that I've shared, especially if you were sub to the main channel, Marie and Jen. I'm going to be uploading some Bible readings over there because I do want to keep certain things separated, and there's a reason for that. Because I'm a person too. My faith does, create how I try to speak and act and behave. Let's just say strive there. I'm striving, right? But that is not everything that I am, right? I have questions just like everybody else. And so for people who don't want to hear things like that, I'm going to try and keep certain things separated. My hope, though, is that through my own attitude and my own change in behavior over the last several years and building trust with those of you who are still here, there were a few thousand of you, which, trust me, there should have been more after 4 years. And that's not me being narcissistic. That's me, again, exemplifying to you that this is what happens to everyone who turns around and looks at the system, who looks back at that eye, right? That if you look back at that one eye that's looking at you, it will then notice you and start to poke and prod at you to see what makes you tick and why you're different and why you're not falling into these patterns and why you're not conforming. That is the system. When I say system, I mean the way things run here, the way things are ran. I'm not talking about the earth and its inhabitants, the soul beings that are here, the spirited beings. I'm talking about artificial, right? So what does all this have to do? How is it connected? Well, hypnotism, even light forms of it, which repetition could be considered a form of hypnotism, and I will show you that as well in a moment here. Through things like this, coming through the media, coming through social media, that's why they want control of everything, so they can be sure everything's filtered the way they want you to see it and want you to know it and live it. Our screens do create our reality only because they have so much information there, and then we get a peek into other people's lives. But we all know from experience, like, that's not a realistic point of view most times. Camera lens is very small and it cannot possibly show the entire story in an honest way, right? There's always going to be bias with perspective, and we all have different perspectives because we are all standing at different points. Okay, so I rambled enough. I want to look at something quickly, a couple of words. I like to start this with words and go from there and show you the process. And I want this to be as organic as possible, like research with me. But you guys know we've already dipped our toes into some of these things. I'm trying to bring them together to show you how they all work so you can be aware of this whenever a story is presented to you. I believe we are getting a lot of truth mixed with deception. People will not believe a lie unless it's based in reality, unless it has truth there. And reality, we cannot like reality is what it is, right? God, there are certain natural order, natural law is in place and such. Um, but there's so much that we still don't understand. And so things that are miraculous looking to us can sometimes be facades, false facades, and we have to be fair and balanced with our own emotional or our own mental, intellectual processing. I should say, try and take that bias out of it, right? So we have to do our best to rise above all the paradigms and look down at them, almost how God does, but we're not God. I'll say that again, we're not God. We are little g gods. We are sovereign. God gave us free will, and because of that, we are able to err and make mistakes. And it's all really simple, but because people don't have the proper order, they're not in the proper order, their lives aren't in the proper order, the way things are meant to be, because they're fighting that natural order, they're not able to see things as they are. And I want to talk about that too, like what part of what's happening now is delusion, what part of it is manufactured, and what part is organic, is actually supernatural. Okay, so let's dive in. We're going to look at the word orgone briefly, but first I want to look at a Bible verse, just one verse real quick. This is, why is the Catholic version there? Okay. This is 2 Timothy 2:15. Be solicitous in the task of presenting yourself before God as a proven and unashamed worker who has handled the word of truth correctly. Now remember, this is a digital version. I've shown you before how they are different from the handheld books. I do not speak to the Mandela effect. I did not start reading it myself until 2017. So I simply just do not know. But I do know that Christ himself told us that scribes are liars. And we know this from our own day, from the media. And so we have to be very careful because God will allow us to have a delusion if we choose to be deluded. And, when I say there are a few people who have subbed to the channel recently that I know are here not because they like the material or the content, but because they want to like pick and poke. Some people call them trolls. I won't call them trolls because I actually watch some of their videos and I actually like some of their content. So I'm not going to call them trolls because I think they have something to add to the conversation just like anybody. But there are people who just want to pick and poke and tear people's belief systems apart. And I would say to you, I welcome you here. If you want to have a clear and open discussion or conversation, honest discussion, that's cool. Um, but if you're here just to tear someone apart, I would ask you, why are you not just doing something else then? I mean, if you disagree with people and you really think that they're that out of touch or whatever with what you consider reality to be, something I'm sure you believe that you manifest entirely on your own without any help from, a prime creator, um, why waste your time and ours? But anyways, if you understand the verbiage I use, please do consider giving the video itself a thumbs up. It doesn't do anything for the channel. The channel will never be monetized, but it lets me know if you're understanding how I'm kind of weaving this together. And I do use my testimony a lot because we overcome our enemy, the adversary, through the word of our testimony. What does that mean? Through sharing with each other our stories and seeing the similarities and saying, wow, I'm not alone in this. We are really brothers and sisters in this. And we are all kind of fighting against something that we don't know a lot about. This is why the Gnostics are very attractive to me, because they recognize that darkness in the world, and they don't try to make it look sunny or bright. It just is what it is to them, and I can appreciate that. Catholicism sometimes, thanks to Hollywood, gets very corny looking, and I don't like that. I hate how we are perceived in the media. Yes, I was raised that way. I understand how people see the church. I see it that way in a lot of ways, the actual institution, not the group of people. And there is a difference. There's a lot of good people in every church and in every institution. Um, there's a balance. But there's definitely more darkness than light. Why is that? Because the light is more powerful. That's why. We suffer because when joy comes along, we would not know to appreciate it. We would have no concept of that, right? We wouldn't know it. And so we suffer, or we see someone we love suffer. But here we are, still here. And I'm here to tell you, you don't have to believe me, but we are eternal. So hypnosis is a really big part of the occult, hidden knowledge, but you need to know about it. Why do you need to know about it? Because there are, excuse me, lightweight hypnosis techniques being used on you every day through the media. And what does the word media mean? Let's talk about that briefly. Media or medium. Artists know this word. If you're an artist like I am, you know that a medium is a way and a manner in which an idea or concept is delivered through symbolism, usually. Now, that could be through music, that could be through writing, that could be through painting, any type of art that you can see, touch, feel, right? Lightweight hypnosis is being used in our modern media, the screens, and like I said, billboards, and it's very quick. And it used to be subtle, right? But now we are kind of like idiocracy, and it's everywhere. I think that's actually why people are waking up, because darkness pushed the envelope a little too much. And people are like, hold up, wait a second. Was Alex Jones really that nutty? Is he really crazy? Because a lot of the stuff he said is happening. I mean, let's be real. However, with caricatures like that, there's a reason they're indoctrinating you into a certain set of ideas. I don't have it all figured out yet. That's why I'm here talking to you. Maybe through sharing ideas, we can figure out what the reason is for mixing the truth with the lies and what part of it is actually lie. I will also say that the people who manufacture, and it is very false, who manufacture this reality through the screens, they are very basic. And by basic, I mean that in a bad way, not the way it's used trendy now. They are very basic. They're very rudimentary. They are very Neanderthal-like. They're like cavemen in their ideas and their concepts and the delivery of them. It's laughable. You look around now and you can see the actors around you. And again, I'm an artist. I might use different language than some people. Let's not point at each other and say, "Oh, you're crazy." Do you know that trick is caught up to people now too? You can't just point at somebody and say, "Oh, you're crazy," and everybody dismisses them. Now people want to hear what the crazy person has to say. People are gathering their spiritual dignity again, and just that thing inside you that says, wait a second, okay, I can be led only so far, and now I've got to just put my foot down because things are ridiculous. There are 5 of you still here. Okay, so hypnosis, and this is weird too, and this is a parallel study that we're doing as we study. Every time we research, we look at dates and we look at the etymology of the words. Something happened in the late 1800s because there was a lot going on. They flooded the media with information, much like they're doing now. And I would ask you, is this because they rewrote history as it was happening? What was going on behind the scenes of the Spanish flu? I'm not a doctor. No part of this is medical advice. Um, so let's just get that out of the way. This is all research. We are seeking answers, um, and offering solutions, possible solutions through our shared gathering and a gathering of our thoughts and ideas. Okay. Um, So something happened in the late 1800s. You had Spanish flu. Um, you had a lot of things going on with people kind of being shuffled around. Forced emigration. It is a breaking down of one's culture, and it is creating these blending pots so that even down to very families, people are being separated and they are losing that identity that they have. Now people are identifying themselves through their sensual organs, right? Um, which is entirely basic. Like that's very basic. Um, your identity should be grown through your character, which is refined through your experiences here. And yes, some of those experiences are tough and they are hard. But I'm not gonna also get on board with the pity me and the whining. Um, I have cried on the internet, like I've had nothing from you guys, and I've got it for it. Like I've I've been ridiculed and laughed at and mocked out of my community, like just bad. Um, but we have to be sharing what's going on and how our society isn't exactly what we were told it is. Now, again, I'm going to preface this. I don't make blanket statements. When I make a statement and I say this group or something, I'm not meaning entirely. Usually I'm speaking of a radical sect of a certain group. But stereotypes do exist for a reason. And as far as understanding the information that is given to you, a lot of these people that are basic, they do not understand what parables are. They don't comprehend them. They don't understand metaphors or similes. They don't comprehend them. So they don't understand that the Bible is a spiritual book. They don't even understand that the Gnostic books are spiritual. This is why they're all messing with their bodies and changing them themselves. Because the Gnostic book says, Christ tells Mary Magdalene or tells Peter, because he does not care for Mary being there. He says, well, I'll just make her a man then, and then maybe she can enter heaven. He's being facetious with Peter. He's being sarcastic with him because Peter is judging her based on her gender. And he's telling him, no, there is no separation in the kingdom of Christ. He's displaying that through his behavior. Um, so it's unfortunate that people like me come along who understand these things and know words, and for whatever reason, I was never like the smartest person in the room. Um, but I was literally asleep for a while, and it literally felt like I was walking around hypnotized when I look back on it. So I'm trying to literally wake people up from this. Like, you don't even realize it when you're stuck in it. You're just on so much autopilot, get up, get ready for work, go to work, maybe kiss the wife and kids. Maybe if you're lucky, you can do that. Or if they're blessed, you can do that. Um, start the car. What does the car need maintenance today? What do I got to do for the car? We take better care of vehicles and homes than we do of our own temples and our families. Um, and I'm not ridiculing you. I'm not here to judge you. You need to know what's happening. So hypnosis, the easiest form of this is through repetition. This word came about in the late 1800s, about the same time when you see history starts to get kind of funky and not make sense. If you try to put these events together, you see that the pieces, they just don't fit. Okay, so another word though for hypnosis is mesmerize. Now this is a little sooner than hypnosis, okay? It came along a little before this. There was a guy named Mesmer, Franz Anton. Of course, he's French. Now pay attention here, because this is where it starts to get into, hey, that's familiar. Haven't we heard this before? all these rabbit holes lead back to the same sources, and these sources are all tentacles of the same kraken, okay? And the kraken is the beast system, okay? I'm trying to use phrases and words to bring this all together and help people to see what's going on. He developed a theory of animal magnetism and mysterious body fluid, which allows one person to hypnotize another, and propounded it in 1778. The word, if still used, is practically synonymous with hypnotism or artificial somnambulism. Sorry about that. Another similar word for the same effect was braidism. An old term for hypnotic suggestion was mesmeric promise, related mesmerist. Now, if you go down, 1849. Now, this is another person like Mesmer. Hypnotism, 1849, from the name of hypnosis pioneer Dr. James Braid. Okay. Now, animal, pertaining to the animal spirit of man. And this is weird. Any sentient living creature, including humans, from Latin animal, living being, being which breathes. Noun use of neuter animalis. And I've already showed in previous videos where in the Catholic Bible, which was the first Bible, I'm not going to argue with KJV onlyists. I have a very refined perspective when it comes to that copy at this point. Anyways, animate living of the air. We showed you that in the Catholic Bible, it's referring to animals as having spirits, as having souls like man, okay? And a rare word in English before circa 1600 and not in the KJV 1611, commonly only of non-human creatures. It drove out the odor beast in common usage. So what would the mark of the beast be then? Because I don't think it's a chip. I don't think that's the mark of the beast. That's what they... Don't you wonder why that idea has gained so much traction? What is the number one rule we've learned on this channel through all the researches we've done together? Anything that trends is to be suspect. It is suspicious. Anything that the majority clings to and like gets irate if you don't cling to too is to be suspect. I don't think that's what the Bible was referring to when it says mark of the beast, okay? But that's not what this video is about, so moving on. Thanks for the thumbs up, guys. And if you're commenting, I did not turn comments off. That happens on this channel. It happens on all my channels. It happens. I apologize, but I do want to hear what you have to say. So please, when the video does go up, comment. Write down your comment so you remember it for the end. So animals have the breath of life. They have breath, soul, because in the Bible, breath is equivalent with soul. The creator, maker, created us and breathed into us the source of life, if you will, whatever you prefer to call God. I'm not going to argue names with people. I think it's redundant and ridiculous. Breath, soul, is a current of air, and the Native American Indians have such a beautiful way of perceiving how the spirit kingdom is supposed, or how the animal kingdom and the human kingdom of mankind are supposed to be operating in sync together. Anyways, moving on. Some more spammers. Spam. So, animal or non-rational, non-spiritual nature, okay, beast, is from the 1580s. Okay, so that's telling. We know animal is equivalent to beast, right? Okay, moving on. So we know hypnosis and mesmerism, they're kind of the same things. We know where they came from. Now, quickly, I want to show you this one verse. Be solicitous in the task of presenting yourself before God as proven and unashamed worker. What does this mean? Let's do the compare. Hypnosis, regressive. Yeah, that one is strange. We're going to get into regressive therapy in just a moment. I want to show you this verse first. Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth, rightly dividing the word of God. What does that mean? Rightly handling it or dividing it? What does that mean? Do you guys know? Who teaches the message of God's truth correctly? I would say that. We're told also that all scripture is God-breathed and profitable for teaching. But that doesn't mean that everything in there is something we're supposed to copy or emulate. A lot of things in there we're supposed to avoid. That's why they're lessons. They're cautionary tales, much like myself. So a lot of what you're about to see is a cautionary tale. And I'm going to show you how the media frames things and kind of makes them look weird. All right. So this got weird. So you had to look at hypnosis first to understand how the media sells a story. This orgone thing, this ties into Sherry Shriner. Now, how does this tie together? I don't know that person. I never met her. I will say her pictures and images are suspect. Oh, shoot. I downloaded one. I wonder if I could grab it. Probably not. Yeah, I probably won't be able to. I think she's a character, first of all. And again, I'm going to handle this with as much sensitivity as possible. I think she's a character, maybe possibly based on a real person. Or she is a real person who did not want her real name to be put out there or her real face. Sherry Shriner in Gematria equals 33, which is a sign of the angelic. Doesn't necessarily mean fallen, guys, okay? It also means betrayer because of... Oh, I just read that the other day and I forget why. It's also, you have 33 vertebrae, and allegedly, when you do a 3-day fast, and I've experienced this, on hour 72, a chrism, almost like Christ, but chrism, right, is released into your body, into your brain, goes up into your brain, then into your body, your nervous system. And it brings you enlightenment, allegedly. I think that is the oil in the lamp that is referred to in the stories, or the parable of the 10 virgins. But I also believe every verse has 3 interpretations because of the Trinity. Everything happens in 3s usually, and that is true. And we know this. We've seen this happen all the time, over and over, repetitively. I think Sherry Shriner is a character in the way that they sold the story and framed the story to the public. I think that they used some truth so that people would cling on to it or want to hear it. And it is meant to... Stories like that are meant to make... They are meant to give the impression that people who are biblical in nature, or who believe in other life forms, God forbid, right? That's such a horrible thing to believe in. Or to believe in a creator, somebody that made us, that created us, because we didn't just plop down here. It is meant to make us look ridiculous. And a lot of you are probably going to get mad at what I'm going to say here. But I have to say it because I have to be genuine to my own conscience and my own testimony, because that's how we defeat our adversary. Because our adversary is the father of lies. Our adversary is deception itself. And so we have to be as genuine as possible. Okay, so her name translates to 33. Not a big deal. Everything around me is 33. I get it. It happens to me all the time. Unbeknownst to me, I moved to an area and I did not know what that number meant beforehand. But remember, all things are of God first. God made everything. Witchcraft, for example, is an inversion, an improper usage of God's power that he gives to you, that he bestows upon you. It is an improper usage of knowledge against other people and a manipulation of their free will through illusion. That is what witchcraft is. It is not people who play with stones. If you believe that, then I would, if you're biblical, I would argue then the story of Moses and Aaron and his vest, and the story of, I believe it was Joel, who fell asleep on a gemstone, which was given the credit for him being able to have the vision of God that he had, was because of said gemstone. And I'll go one last with the gemstones. God himself wrote the name of each tribe in a different gemstone, hence why we have birthstones today, which are the inversion or the counterfeit of what they should be. So when we talk about things, we have to be sure of which side we're speaking from, because that line can get blurry. So I believe that her story was framed in such a way to make certain people, certain groups of people, look ridiculous, not credible, and look like liars, basically. That's my opinion on how they framed her story and put it out there. Her name is also suspect. The fact that there's only two pictures of her anywhere on the internet, that is suspect. Most of us had nothing to hide. We did not care about sharing our faces. Most of us were not raised superstitiously about letting our picture be taken. So most of us, unfortunately, are already all over the internet. So we don't care. But these people who started out not participating, they knew something about this that most of us were not taught or told. And so the fact that there's only two pictures of her up, that is suspect to me. And again, I do these videos at great personal risk because every time I talk about reptilians, regardless of how many times I say I've never seen one, and I think people are taking the metaphor of reptilian brain a little too far. I don't know, you see them on The Simpsons, and The Simpsons haven't been wrong yet, right? But they're selling us stuff in reality that is directly pulled from movie scripts. We know this. We've seen it happen a bazillion times. I found a movie just the other day. I have a screenshot of it. I'll share it on the community page. Called one of the versions of CV, whatever it was. And it's the title of a sci-fi outer space movie. So I just thought that was ridiculous because it was made in like 1975. So the fact that the news media hijacks movie ideas and then sells them as if they're real. I mean, Palestine is an hour from me, and that alleged train crash happened, and that was a Netflix movie before they put it in the news that that was happening in Ohio. I've been very restricted. My loved ones used to take me anywhere. We used to go on trips all the time. The fact that I didn't drive was not a big deal. I've not been anywhere since 2017, and all this weird crap started popping up around me. Let me say something else about Sherry Shriner, and this is where it gets personal. And her and I just read her book, one of her books, Interview with Lucifer. Number one, don't ever, ever think you can sit down and have a talk or a discussion with any of the angels and think that you are going to come out on top. That's not how that works. So her book is very suspicious to me for that reason alone. Any true follower of the Creator God is not going to operate that way. We just don't. We know better now. Most of us, especially if you're a TI, we've been kind of chastised. We've been through the ringer. We left God and he pulled us back in a radical way. And so we know there are certain things that we just don't do now. Do gemstones scare me? Absolutely not, because God made them. Do angels intimidate me? Absolutely. And they should intimidate you as well. Allegedly, if you believe in those things. I do. So orgone, what is orgone and what does it have to do with hypnotism? I had no idea it had anything to do with anything. Just hold your horses and don't go anywhere. I'm getting there. The Sherry Shriner story has a lot in common with my own personal testimony. That's one of the reasons I dumped the content on my original channel. There was many reasons I did that, but that was also one of them. It's kind of freaky. It freaked me out, to be perfectly honest. I live in Ohio. I live in Northeast Ohio. She was only about probably 45 minutes away from me again. I'm like 45 minutes away from everything and everybody. Uh, I never met her. I fish like her. Um, but a lot of her testimony and a lot of what she said rings through true. However, there are parts of her testimony that I think are really big red flags, and true searchers of truth and people who are searching for the one who made them, and just to know why you're here and what you're doing here, and have you learned the lesson you were supposed to learn yet, and is it all just for my benefit? Am I just here to enjoy the whatever it is you're looking for? If that is truth and honesty, we have to be genuine with each other. So there are parts of her testimony that I think are, for whatever reason, when you mention reptilians, people come after you. I don't know why. If I were a reptile race and I was on a planet, I think we're at cast size, we retreat more likely. I don't think we are. Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. We would most likely retreat from angels as well, even if the good angels, because they would just be so intimidating to us. I don't think we aren't cast size. We retreat more likely. Hi, Samir. It's nice that you're here. Thank you for being here. I hope you're well. I hope you're well. So yeah, her and me, we have a lot in common, and it's the point it's creepy. So every time I've touched base with her story, I kind of stop because it gets weird. You guys know how I am when things get too much, there's too many sinks involved. I don't like that. She was right about 2017 being the year things would pop off. Now, I read her book, and there was one line in her book that really threw me, and I did not care for it. And I'm going to tell you what it is right now. Because again, I document too. As I do these stories, this is documentation for posterity. Not because I care so much about what happens to me, even other than, my soul being right with God. It's the fact that my testimony it needs to mean something. There are a lot of us who have struggled and suffered and went through horrendous things, but we've also, we know that we fell, and we know we did things that we shouldn't have done as well. But our stories need to be heard so that other people don't fall into the same, if you like China, one of the few celebrities that seems to have her head on in most ways. Like she told the story of the snake in the yard. If you see a snake in the yard and you're, in your room painting with your best friend, you gonna tell her there's a snake in your yard? Or you just gonna let her walk out there and get bit? I'm telling people there's still a serpent here and we need to kick him out of the garden. I'm pretty sure I think that's what God's waiting on. Now, when I say things happen by consent here, do I mean every little thing? No. Why? Because there's too many people. If I don't consent to a thing, but you do, then who gets their way? Natural law and natural order do. God's way. The way that the creator, the maker, the grand architect, whatever you prefer to call him, the source, it doesn't matter to me personally, other than that you are seeking what is true and right in this world. And that, yeah, maybe you do seek the one who made you, because guess what? You have a spirit that animates your body. So her and I have a lot in common. And in the one part in her book, and this is her book that I read, Conversation with the Devil, there is truth in here, Interview with the Devil. There are truthful bits in here. But there's a part where she's talking to him and she says, who would have guessed that two of your biggest adversaries, your sisters, and she's claiming she's an angel in the flesh and that she's a sister of Lucifer. This is what she claims. I'm not saying that is part of my testimony. I'm not saying nothing like that. I'm saying parts of her testimony ring true. You guys know it from hearing my story, or you should know it if you know both of our stories. And that's where we get into the hypnotism again, because we get into the alien abduction things happening, and those are demonic. And anything that comes into your room or your home or your dwelling place, especially your bedroom, against your consent or without being invited or what have you, that's a no-go for me. Like, that's a no-brainer. Those things are not benevolent. Are there benevolent ones out there? Yes. I call them angels. Call them whatever you want. as far as I'm concerned. But I call them angels and I call them demons. I don't call them aliens. Again, that was a change in the language. They used to call illegal immigrants aliens, and they started using this other word. So we have to ask ourselves why they do things like that. So she says that, who would have guessed that two of his biggest enemies would both be in Ohio, her sister, and then she never mentions it again. That creeped me out. I'm not going to lie, and I quit reading. You guys, if you haven't heard my testimony, you might want to go check out those videos. It's still not done. I got to add a part 3 and a part 4, and it's just, ongoing. But that's how we overcome these obstacles too, is by sharing. And why? Because when you expose something that's happened to you, these people are not original. They're using this script on a lot of people across the United States. I showed you how they were using, and it's all over the media, how they were using certain household items to poison their spouses. And this was from nurses and EMTs. I showed you how a death metal singer in California lost his mind one night in 2017, 2018, and said, "Oh my God, the rapture's happening." The something about demons being here, in the flesh. And he ended up, he has a charge and everything, and that's still unfolding, but I've showed you all these things. So we are not alone in thinking that something very strange has happened in our lives and in this world. I thought maybe I was just slow to waking up, but now I'm seeing it definitely, it's very visible. And somebody said to me, they didn't mean it in this context, but they said, you're one of the last ones like you around. And that's a true statement. And I don't think we're all the same. I think some of us are different, and that's something we need to look at too. So what is orgone? Well, Sherry Shriner said that it was kind of like, if you were a Jedi, it would be your saber, your lightsaber, right? Orgone is like kryptonite to the demonic or to the angelic. So she says, what is orgone? Now here's where it gets weird, because it's a metaphysical idea. And if you know the definition of metaphysical science, you know that this is where you get into woo-hoo theories, because these are things that cannot be proven out. Samir, do you think the rapture is close, or that something would give not long from now? Okay, my original point of view was, and kind of still is, that a spiritual rapture already occurred. I think 2 of them have already happened. Okay, and I was raised Catholic. We didn't learn about rapture theology, okay? I did not listen to anyone else's doctrine about this. This is another thing that freaked me out about Sherry's testimony. I believe if there is a rapture, there's possibly 3 of them. Because remember, God and the angels can work outside of time. Time is something we are trapped in here while we're in the flesh. Time is death. It is a manifestation of death, of Satan. Satan is death. Satan is, these things. And so time is wrapped up in all that. Cowman, I don't care. Well, then go away, Cowman. Oh my gosh, see, and they don't like this. They don't like when I start talking about this. And I'm going to be very honest here. Okay, she said that this was like kryptonite to the demons. I think that is wrong. I think that this is the part of the story that they wanted to get out there, and that they wanted people having this stuff in their homes. I don't think it is good. I don't think that it is something people should be ordering online. Why is that? There's a difference between just having, I have an amethyst around, I have a garnet ring, certain things, because they work with who you are. And I'm not talking about horoscope knowledge here. I'm talking about bloodborne, the time you were born, under the sun and under the moon, and how that fits. Is it horoscopy? The horoscope is the counterfeit version. Astronomy is God's version. We need to know the change of the seasons. We need to know things like that. And yes, there are certain things that certain ones of us have an affinity to or for. I had like watch out around this time in my spirit, or that something would happen in my personal life. Could be I would die around that time. Who knows? In 2017 and 2018 were weird. Okay, so this is the part of the Shriner story that I don't like. What is orgone? Pseudoscientific concept variously described as an esoteric energy or hypothetical universal life force. So it's nothing that you can touch. You can't see it. These people just say that they're making orgone, okay? I'll tell you what I think is happening with this in a minute after I got to tell you first the definition. 2024 eclipse is going to be a big moment for the sadly for the pagans and the druids, people who actually do sacrifices and stuff. Those people are big into eclipses because they think it is a death and a rebirth, and they think it's able to be, they think you can open a portal, okay? That's the main reason for these sacrifices, is they want to be able to open a portal and have our two places merge. Now, some people are saying they're doing that with CERN. For whatever reason, the demonic operate on blood because blood has the life force. I would imagine that this is why certain things are going on now, covertly, of course, in the national parks and otherwise in people's own homes. I think they're trying to open a portal to have basically Hades on Earth. For whatever reason, they want Earth. Even though there's allegedly going to be a new one coming, these beings want Earth, regardless of what the Bible says, even though, and that's the thing, they know that their judgment has been cast. Why some of them are still allowed to run around rampant, I don't have all the answers. I really don't. I believe they're here to refine us, and they are more like pests. You should treat them as the mosquitoes that they are, right? And mosquitoes even need blood because life force is in the blood. So I believe that the eclipse is going to be a big time for them people, and that's the video we're leading up to, but we got to get through the hypnosis, and then we can talk about the eclipse and possible raptures. I do believe that if the rapture theory is legit, that there could be 3 of them. It says that Christ, maybe 4, Christ says that he sends his angels out to the corners of the earth to gather the elect. The elect, there's a capital E used. I think that the elect, the church, the bride, sometimes, yes, like beast is used, son of perdition, sometimes interchangeably. But I personally think that these are all different people or groups of people in the spiritual and in the physical. So that's somewhere where I differ from the church. And people have said, oh, you think I've heard people say on YouTube that have bigger channels and promoters and sponsors and all that, the actors, oh, you think you know better than the history of the church fathers, from 300 years ago. Look, there's a reason they persecuted their own saints. There's a reason they turned Padre Pio into a recluse. There's a reason they burned Joan of Arc, because there's something wrong. And when people stumble upon certain truths, this is what happens to them. Much like happened to Sherry, much like what is happening to me. The problem is you can start to believe in delusions. And again, I believe her story might be true, but it is being misrepresented and sold to the public in a dangerous way. I think that orgone is not a good thing to order or have in your home. I know that somebody who watches the channel, somebody I consider a friend, that I think of and I pray for, and I do owe a message back. I apologize. That's my own poor manners. My life is very unpredictable. I've got these puppies I watch after, and I do try to stay busy, even if it's with mundane tasks. Anyways, a longtime friend of both channels, so he knows my testimony. I know his. Both our families kind of freaked out about the same time, started trying to kick us out. I'm just stubborn. I didn't go anywhere. God told me to stand firm, so I did. Orgone. I think if people are buying something and bringing it into their home, okay, just like every gemstone God had, like the one that Joel, the prophet, fell asleep on, where he had his vision, was either amethyst or shoot, what are all the tunnels made of? Limestone. Limestone and sandstone, they are like really big in this stuff too. I told you at the beginning of my testimony, and I'm not going to go through all the particulars about how I get messages and all that, but at the beginning of the testimony, someone had said to me, a loved one, was on the phone and kept stressing lava rock to me. I had no idea what this had to do with the conversation. But she also showed me pictures where she had traveled away, and it looked fake. Her pictures, it looked like she was superimposed there, and I didn't want to tell her that. Like, hey, what are you at Disneyland and they did this for you? Because those don't look real. But again, I think they were showing me the truth of things without telling me. I think certain things in our world have been fabricated to us. I think there are more actors and imposters than there are real people, beings of light left. And it's easier to keep us corralled, right? To keep us not flying, to keep us not traveling, to keep us, a lot of TIs, a lot of us don't travel or we don't drive. We walk a lot of places. A lot of our videos, we're walking and talking. That title I used to use all the time. Now everybody's using, so that's cool too. The walk and talks. But anyway, point being, just like there would be gemstones that would be positive, right? In this world of positives and negatives, as far as science, because the Creator's workings are visible through science and through nature. I think it's around 80% NPCs and 20% normal people. Let me preface this by saying I'm a pacifist. I don't own guns. I don't promote guns. That's another reason Sherry's on my radar. True Christ followers are pacifists. We don't deal with guns. We don't need them. We don't want them. We don't want any part of them. We know that those that live by the sword shall also die by the sword. So I want no part of guns. I think there's a deception there as well. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know there is one. And I know it has everything to do with our meat supply. And I've talked about this before. There are other reasons that I've stopped eating, as they say, meat or beef or whatever. That's what they call it in the stores. Does it ever once say what animal it's from? We just assume, right? We don't really know, though. They silence people like us and they seclude us, and then they mess with our testimonies, I think. And they present them in such a way as to where we seem like we are imbeciles. Low-level intelligence imbeciles. And they want you to believe that the crowd is always right, that the majority rules, that that's the way you're supposed to go. And that's not true. But anyway, that's another reason she's on my radar. Another reason is because orgone, if you see, is almost always black. It almost always has black in it. Black could be lava rock or obsidian. Now, when I was getting this quote-unquote clue from my loved one, from my aunt, it's not presented as a clue, mind you. This was God in my conscience, you know, that little spark in me saying, hey, pay attention. This story is off. There's something about this you'll need. And that served me well every time I've paid attention. It's been something that has unfolded, you know, for us, a big part of the puzzle. So orgone almost always has black in it, right? Almost always. Almost always. I don't like that because obsidian and or lava rock, now if you look it up now, oops, sorry. They will tell you that this pulls out negative energies and it's good to have around you. They will also tell you that some version of this, like the pyramids I just showed you, that they will help to weaken the effects of EMF rays on the human body. Again, I think since 2017, 2018 at least, we've been getting information that is backwards and upside down and inside out. I do not think obsidian is a good thing to have around or have in your home. I held it for a couple of days. I had a friend that I know that sells soaps. She also sells gemstones. And no, we don't know each other. I know her on Facebook. And I said, hey, send me an obsidian. I want to see what it's like. And I didn't like it. It made me feel weird, almost like when you were a kid and you'd lick a battery. Just holding it made me feel kind of strange. Yeah. And again, I know my perspective and my interpretation is not going to be popular, but it has served me well. I have not started freaking out on people. I'm not trying to harm anybody. I don't seem to be behaving like someone different than myself. Most of you have seen my testimony from the other channel and on this channel. I hope to God that you see the changes that have come about in me and that God has made in me. And it's had nothing to do with stuff like this. I pray a lot. I meditate on questions that I have, just like everyone else. Who am I? What am I doing here? Sometimes I get answers, not all the time. Praying is talking to God. Meditating is listening and being polite in a conversation and listening. So I had obsidian in my hand. Now, my aunt said lava rock. Now, lava rock, if you look it up, it comes up as something different. So I don't know which one she actually meant. She said the kind that you landscape with. Now, this looks more like lava rock. But what is it? It keeps humidity levels high. Now, why would you want that? Prevent roots of your plants from getting too hot or too cold. Okay, that's cool. Lava rock's illegal. Possessing or removing any natural mineral is illegal. I think obsidian comes from dragon scales. I honestly think you're right about all gemstones, and this is going to be weird, but if you know Mud Fossil, wait, what's his name? Is it Mud Fossil University? Yeah, if you know him, if you've watched him at all, I agree with him, and I actually found proof of it. I'm going to show it to you guys in a short, I keep promising. I found proof of it in the Essay and Gospel of Peace, that our quote-unquote rocks and things are petrified pieces of bones. Now, you should not touch lava rock. If your skin comes in contact with lava rock, you would get severely burned. When you make contact with temperatures, the severity of your injuries depends on how long you touch it. Our lava rock bracelets are not associated with bad luck. Most people believe they have grounding properties. However, beliefs about objects can vary by culture and individual, so it's always a good idea to understand the context in which they are being discussed. Same with symbols. God made every symbol out there. If you have the idea for it, God made it first. If there is nothing new under the sun, and because of that, if reptilians were real, wouldn't they just like they could just scare us into submission and order us around? Why would they hide? Now, there are people that say reptilian brain, your reptilian brain. They say that we come from reptiles, we evolved from these I don't know. Anyway, the reptilian part of your brain is allegedly this part of your brain that is very primordial in nature, right? It's very animalistic. It's like a beast, right? Like an animal. Wonder if that's the mark of the beast. Because they slither, I don't know about that. But I will say that obsidian is also used in the original mirrors. And we've talked about mirrors being portals. Okay? Obsidian mirrors. Now, I want to show you something. I actually wonder if that's not what the moon is made of. If the moon isn't just a circular mirror, because the alleged spots on the moon, they match up with the reflection of Earth. If you look at it, if you would put the moon on top of like North America, it matches up with the picture. So I kind of think the moon is a mirror. And I think, that's why people talk about like portals, being in eclipses and stuff. The portal would be in the moon, wouldn't it? But that's a side branch of this. So let's go back. I want to show you something I found. This is disturbing. I did not like finding this. I don't know what to think of this. Now, I thought it was fake at first, but once I read it to you, I will click the X and show you that this is not the only source for this information. And this is where it gets woohoo weird. Training and Education, Medical Orgonomy, American College of Orgonomy. Okay, what is orgonomy? Yeah, what is that? Do they have an About tab? That would be easier, probably. Let's look at this first. The American College of Orgonomy Training Program and Medical Orgone Therapy. Questions about ACO training program. It gives you the address. It's in New Jersey. What do the numbers tell us? 1144 44. That's a big one. 0174. Okay, these people love that number. 714-0174-417. I'd like to know why they love that number, because somebody close to me also props up that number, and I don't know why. So yeah, I'd like to know why that's kind of everywhere. If Dion ever to this video, maybe he can let me know. Overview of the training program. The training program of the American College of Orgonomy. Now, pay attention, because this gets weird, and again, all of these rabbit holes lead to the psychiatry industry being a big part of this, and being a big part of alien abductions, alleged alien abductions. And it's very sad, and I could very well lose my life because I'm talking like this and saying these things. But I have to speak the truth. And I don't have a reptilian to show you, but I did have a counselor, and in his office, I did have lost time, and I never consented to any type of hypnotherapy. And he told me over and over again himself how he was just a counselor. I can tell you over and over again how it was always set up almost like a movie set in this town every time I leave my house. But they can do that because this place is small. But what would that mean? Let's get out of that, being a TI, being secluded and isolated could very easily make someone be narcissistic. Yet we have saints. We have Mary Magdalene herself, who went off and lived in a cave. Essenes, who preferred to go live down by the river instead of being a part of society because they knew something was inherently wicked and wrong at the root of it. All of these branches are connected. I would love to say that it's other beings doing this, and honestly, I don't think human beings could be organized enough to do this on their own. I think they are getting help. But is it from literal reptilian beings? I don't know. I've never seen nothing like that. I'm not going to put anything beyond the creator. He can create whatever he wants. But, anytime you talk about this subject, you get people who troll you, people who mock you, people who scoff at you. And again, I'm not saying whether they're real or not. I'm saying, show me the evidence. Show me the evidence. I want to see it, touch it, feel it. I want to shake hands with it and have a conversation with it. Then I'll tell you. Otherwise, right now, to me, it's just a theory. I don't know. And it's okay to say that. It's okay to say, I don't know. I've seen the slit eyes, but it seems more spiritual stuff manifested. Exactly. Exactly. I've seen the black eyes in people, and I've noticed loved ones, sadly, when they are riled up or when I'm fasting especially, they will not look at me. They avert their eyes from me, and I'm not sure why that is, but it's something that happens all the time. And when I'm around new people sometimes, they start to shake. And I don't know what that is. I don't know why it's happening, but it's happened a couple times now. And it reminds me, I've read a psalm, again, these psalms with the no teeth and the shaking. There was actually a psalm I read the other day that mentions that I'll probably do in a shorter video if I remember. So, again, back to the orgone. You still don't know what orgone is, but we're going to show you again a deeper definition of that in just a moment. But that's you. You've seen them. I'm sure you believe it, but I've not seen them. So I don't. I think that in my situation, it has been mankind messing with me. And at one point, I think it was possibly angelic interference. But I've never seen a reptilian. So I don't know either way. It doesn't matter to me, to be honest. Wickedness is still wickedness. It doesn't matter what they look like. Yeah, and I think they present themselves, I think this thing has the same source, and I think sometimes they present themselves as to what we believe in. Orgone energy is not orgasmic energy. Yes, I'm very aware of that. Thanks for the tip. Now, hold on, because I'll get to it. Hang on. Muscular rigidity. Hold on. I get it. It is. Look it up. Orgone energy is not orgasmic. Yeah, but and yes, there are some people that are connecting it, so of course we have to get out of that. Hold on. There. Okay, what is it? Now, this is weird because, again, you can't prove this. You can't prove any of this stuff. Orgone is a pseudoscientific, and pseudo means false, okay? They're calling it pseudoscientific. It's an esoteric concept, variously described as an esoteric energy or hypothetical universal life force, originally proposed in the 1930s by Wilhelm Reich and developed by Reich student Charles Kelly after Reich's death. Orgone was conceived at the anti-entropic principle of the universe. Anti-entropic, meaning it would defy death, because entropy is also where decay and death come from. But I don't know if that's what they meant, but that's what entropy is. A creative substratum in all of nature comparable to Mesmer's animal magnetism. Okay, so here they are tying orgone, or the conception, the idea of orgone, in with Mesmer's animal magnetism. So it has something to do with mesmerism. And yes, the original mesmerism had to do with the animal spirit of a man. Okay, and again, this gets very esoteric. This is why I don't think people should be buying it off the internet of somebody that says it helps them fight beings that you don't even know if they exist. Reptilian, like, we don't even know if they're real. There's something wrong with this. It went too mainstream. I don't like it for that. Her story, they are using to make fun of or mock the real people like me who actually have a real testimony. But I don't care about that. Again, they're making money. They're monetizing it. Hey, do what you do. It's that's how you make your money. But when it starts influencing people, that's a problem. Orgone was seen as a massless, omnipresent substance similar to luminiferous ether, but more closely associated with living energy than with inert matter. So basically, this is a concept, an idea about something somebody thinks could possibly exist in the invisible ether that we cannot see. Do you see where this goes? These people could manufacture anything, ship it to you, tell you it's orgone, and you don't know any different. It could be poisonous to you. It could be something you're allergic to. It could be anything, because when you see how they all look different. It all looks different. None of it looks the same. It looks like a bunch of melted together pieces of plastic and gemstones every now and again. It's not something that is a definitive science. It's not something that you can observe and repeat and have the same result, right? It's not provable. Now, again, is prayer provable? To me, it is. Is it provable that God is real? To me, it is. We've got all this stuff here. Yeah, God made this, but not everybody thinks like me, and I get that. I'm telling you now, there's something about this that is wrong, and they are promoting it for a reason. It is in her book. She talks about it. They sell it. There's something wrong with it. And I actually have seen people use it or bring it around themselves, and then they change. Instead of it protecting them, their personality changes. So there's something not right with it, guys. And I'm being as honest and open as I can. What do I want you to notice the most, though? That this stuff is tied up with people who are into the original form of mesmerism, of hypnosis. Okay? So why does a thing that Sherry Shriner uses, who says she's a daughter of the Most High, which I say I am too, I'm a daughter of the Most High. Why is she selling you something beyond prayer, or a book, or self-help, a recipe, but you know what I mean? Why is she promoting something that is tied to mesmerism and hypnosis? Because that is a big part of the alien abduction experiences, alleged alien abduction experiences. Yeah, I've seen something about that, but I'm not really knowledgeable about it. It just seems weird to me. So some kind of black goo. Astrobule, my brother or sister, You went right where I was going with this. And here we introduce the Black Goo. What if she's working for the other team? Sherry Schreiner, 33, only 2 pictures online. The one looks AI generated. She's in Ohio, which I've already told you guys is way messed up. And yes, I'm here, okay? I'm here because God told me not to move, so I'm standing firm. It's what I'm doing until I hear otherwise. For right now, this is what I do. This is how I try to serve you. And I'm telling you, this stuff is no good. Even if you don't agree with me or believe me or accept or receive the information I'm bringing to you, just hold off on it. Do something else, right? Get some other kind of decoration. But right now, in the times we're in, don't get something that stands for something that you don't understand or know about or know what it means or know what it is. This is like when people burn white sage who aren't Native American Indians. I won't burn it because I don't know exactly the proper methodology, and I don't know the reason for why they're doing it. I think it's a good reason. I've talked about this before at length, but when we use it in our homes, I think that's a no-no. I don't think it's supposed to be used indoors. And people don't want to listen to me. But look at the stories of how things get worse when people use that stuff. Look at people changing when they get these little pyramids in their houses and saying, "Oh, yeah, it protects me." Why did you change so much then? Why are you so different? What happened to the other person I knew? And I'm responsible for buying one of these, but it was after everything had happened, and I wanted to see how it felt, like how it resonated with me, and it didn't, so I threw it away. But a family member kept one, and that was very telling to me. Because I told them, I said, it's supposed to do this, but I don't know if it actually works. Powerful orgone, handheld cloudbuster. Okay. Now, actually, staffs, I'm down with staffs. Like, I have a wooden staff. I love it. I don't actually take it outside and use it. But I was thinking of putting a gemstone on the handle, one that I know resonates with me and what it's for in my quote-unquote tribe, right? Because God wrote the names of the 12 tribes in the gemstones. I'm telling you right now, stay away from anything that's mixed up. Metal chipsets for orgonites. Look at this. Origin of orgone. Well, again, it's an esoteric thing. And you know what the headaches are, Samir? That's a sign of one of these beings being around you. That's your warning system saying something's wrong here. Especially if you get the aura, the kaleidoscope vision. I've had migraines my whole life. But recently, the last few years, they came back and they're not like they used to be, but they only come around before I get a visit from somebody. And my life is reversed. Cause and effect are reversed. That's why I'm so able to tell you guys what's coming, is because my cause and effect are mixed up. But again, it's all to the glory of God. I'm doing this because God asked me to. Metal chipsets for orgonites, orgone making supplies. Metal chips. They're just mixing in whatever they want. So if somebody sends you this one with esoteric symbols on it, and again, I'm not completely against Egyptians. I think they knew what they were doing, because they were the fallen ones. And so, but we're not supposed to have all of that information. So we have to really be careful. I think now we're in a different time, though. I think now there's a new covenant coming, and I don't want to say too much about that. Maybe I'm allergic or something. Who knows? Maybe. Oregon Amethyst Pyramid. I have Horus. Again, my problem isn't the orgone itself or the name. My problem is them saying that it will help you defeat demonic beings, and I believe it has black goo in it. I think it's the same stuff. I think they're putting it in the orgone, and I think it's bad to have around you. I think it does very bad things to human beings. They're saying it's new, but we've looked at all the stories about how black goo's been found on the Egyptian sarcophagus. There's a new story about it out right now, but it might be too late for me to find it. Hold on. We talked about the teleportation. Hunter's Moon. Christ tattoo discovered on 1,300-year-old body in Sudan. That's crazy. And again, I don't believe that they tell us all of these things. Orion did meteor shower. Again, they only tell us certain things for a reason. What is the new comet, guys? What is the comet they found? Because that's where that story is. Okay. I want you guys to see, will devil comet hurtling towards Earth bring devastation? So we got a devil comet in the, now we got a horned comet and a mystery blob. Alright, this week in science news, we discovered a city-sized comet that regrew horns after a volcanic eruption. What erupts out of a volcano? Black stuff, right? Black stuff. Is it black goo? Is it ancient, sentient, negative energy, low frequency life forms who can only live on a certain type of Earth, maybe? Monster-sized comet after magma fountain spewed, okay? So we have that, but there's another one that tells you the comet's number. The Devil Comet, bigger than Mount Everest, is making its way to Earth. Oh, joy. Oh, joy. In one of these articles, it talks about this comet and about this black stuff that's on it. Okay? This black thing. And so again, we're getting back into, and I think there's something fake about volcanoes too. The stuff that they were showing us, the volcano just going for hours and hours, dude, it looked like a close-up on a blowtorch. People really, remember dioramas you used to make in science class? Or social studies or reading class, you'd make a diorama. One of the little things in the shoebox with the little trees and the little houses and the little people or the little spaceships. I think that's how some filming is done and how some illusion is done with the camera, is they make us think something big is happening somewhere and it's something somebody did in their kitchen. Why do you think all the planets, if you look, they look like close-ups of sweater fabric every time we get a picture of a planet? And I mean, I notice this stuff because I'm an artist. Pennsylvanians can see a meteor shower from Halley's Comet. I did not know that was now. Okay. So let's go back. Okay. So basically, I think orgone, the stuff they're selling is orgone because you can make it however you feel like it. Epoxy is the resin used in an orgonite pyramid. On the crystal, are you going to tell us how to make it, though? A cabinet-like device constructed of layers of wood and other materials as tin, claimed by its inventor Wilhelm Reich to restore orgone energy to persons sitting in it, thereby aiding in the cure of impotence, the big C, and the common C. And another word for the common cold, if you have the medical dictionary from 1983, is corona. That is the name for the common cold. Gosh, this is also lame to see taking place and people actually believing all of it. Do illnesses happen? Yes, but they happen from other things. I want to know how you make orgone, and they can't tell you. Amazon getting a little in on the monetization, right? Do they actually use the word orgonite? Orgonite coil. So there's more. That's the thing. Anybody can make it any way they really feel like it, with any quote-unquote energy in their heart at that moment that they feel like doing it. It's esoteric. It probably is wrapped up into some type of sensual ritual as well. So I wouldn't mess with it. And it says metal shavings, quartz crystals. Nobody knows exactly what orgonite is, right? What metals to use in orgonite? Let's read that. Metal shavings, swarf and orgonite. Blah, 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 blah. Aluminum. BB gun pellets. For silver, right? Is that what silver? Metal scrubbers. Oh, okay, I see. So yeah, they make it however they want to. And I'm not against doing things like this and being creative. That's not my problem with it. My problem is, once again, false representation, them sending you something that is negative for you instead of positive. Wilhelm Reich. Yes, that's where I was going. Thank you. Nice to see you. And let's look at the creator of this pseudoscientific theology. Australian doctor of medicine. Of course he was. And a psychoanalyst. And who invented hypnosis? Why, I believe it was a French psychologist, wasn't it? A member of the second generation of analysts after Sigmund Freud. So there you go. The function of the orgasm, character analysis, and the mass psychology of fascism. Oh boy, they really studied up hard, didn't they? Everybody's doing such a good job at ruining everything they've... His resting place. Organon, Rangeley. Is there really a place called Organon? Are you kidding me? That's what he called it. Oh my gosh, that's what he called his lab. He was like a mad scientist. Do you see where all this stuff leads? I still never took you guys to the book. The guy who wrote about dreams and how to defeat the dream warriors and all this stuff. He's a neurologist. He's into all this doing things with the human brain and psychology and manipulation. Wow. 175 acres. Rangeley. Where is this? Is this in Australia? Oregon Energy Observatory. Wow, that's crazy. And New York, always with the New York. And Schreiner talked a lot about New York too. Reich's work on character contributed to the development of Anna Freud's The Ego and the Mechanisms of Defense, and his idea of muscular armor, the expression of the personality in the way the body moves. Shaped innovations such as body psychotherapy, gestalt therapy, bioenergetic analysis, and primal therapy. His writing influenced generations of intellectuals. He coined the phrase the sensual revolution. Didn't we already... What else did this dude do? It wasn't just orgone, see, because we've done something else and this guy's name came up. Faraday cages? Really? So all this stuff we were told was good for us, is it bad? Let's continue on. Again, this is where discernment comes in. He moved to New York in 1989 after accepting a position of assistant professor at the New School of Social Research. During his 5 years in Oslo, Sun, Moon, and Water says layers of alternating organic and inorganic fabric is one example. Yeah, I don't like the metal shavings and all that, though, because you don't know what it is, and that bothers me. So he knew about frequency, and he knew about Faraday cages, and he says they're beneficial for cancer patients. Did this dude die? Did they kill him? This led to newspaper stories about sex box that cured cancers. Oh my gosh. So they're thinking, see how stories get reframed, whether that's what's actually happening or not. Was he not imprisoned? I don't know. Let's get to the end. Following two critical articles about him in the New Republican Harper's in 1947, the FDA obtained an injunction against the interstate shipment of Oregon accumulators and associated literature, calling them fraud of the first magnitude. Charged with contempt in 1956 for having violated the injunction, Reich was sentenced to 2 years imprisonment. And that summer, over 6 tons of his publications were burned by order of the court. He died in prison of heart failure just over a year later, and we know heart failure can be induced. We know that from study and research. That is not speculation, although whether his was or not would be speculation. I don't know. Huh. Good eye, Sun Moon. Thank you. Both of his parents were Jewish. Imagine that. Yiddish-speaking children. Are they Jews or Jews who aren't Jews? And no, I'm not anti-Semitic or any of that thing. I'm anti-deception. I love humanity. I love the animals, love the plant kingdom. I hate deception. And I was a part of the deception for a long time without even knowing it. Like, you don't even realize. Ugh, I feel terrible, but I can't get down on self-condemnation today. That's not a good place to go. Okay, so I would swear that this dude came up every time we look at something that's happening today, whether it's the hypnosis or the creator of anesthesia. Remember, these are all people testified he was healing many. Yeah, if they persecuted him, I honestly wouldn't doubt that he was onto something. I'm saying the story with Sherry Shriner and her mailing people orgone, I wouldn't trust anybody in that aspect right now, to be honest with you. Like, I just wouldn't. I mean, if you're going to mail me a book or something, that's one thing. I'm not superstitious that spirits are attached to things like that. However, if you're going to mail me something esoteric like that, and you're going to claim a cultish, and you're going to claim that it does something that I actually can't see, if it makes me feel worse when it's around, like, I'm definitely going to start investigating then. And I know that I've seen people, I've experienced people, I'm not going to call them out or anything, who have had that around them, and they have changed. And, you just don't know what people are putting in stuff. And I would like to say we could trust people. I know there are still good people out there, but I know that wicked never sleeps, right? It's always coming up with ways. While we sleep, wickedness is devising ways to cheat us or steal from us or destroy our lives or to kill us. Okay, so real quick, before we go, because this turned into Sherry Shriner again, and I did not want it to go there, but it kind of has to because these topics are related to her and people like her. Types. This gets fuzzy too, because this is not a science in the medical industry. Most people don't. This isn't in the forefront of people's minds when they go to their doctors, but science and the medical industry, it is they are teaching industries. So as your doctor is working on you, he is learning and teaching someone else, or someone is teaching him. So nothing is definitive, right? We're still learning. So this gets fuzzy with types of hypnosis, but there's a very particular one we need to look at before we end this video, because it leads us to where we're going. And the next video is going to be super fun. Well, I mean, I'm a researcher. I think it's super fun. You might not like it, but I'm not going to tell you what it is, because then I'll see a video of a bigger channel doing it. And I want to have fun with you guys talking about these things. But yeah, the next one will be more lighthearted, more fun, related to the month of October for, All Hallows Eve and Samhain and all that stuff. Again, I think you can't be superstitious. We have to have a proper balance here. You can't be afraid of everything. You can't be picking out the bad and wicked and everything. But you also can't be so complacent that you let evil and wickedness thrive, right? So, types of hypnosis: self-hypnosis, stage hypnosis, which are totally different, right? The self-hypnosis is self-help, basically. Stage hypnosis, you all know what that is. Hypnoanalysis aims to do that through hypnotherapists. Once a root cause has been identified through hypnotherapy, so they try to analyze your problems through hypnosis. Sometimes it is easier, and you would be in like a light stage at that point. You might be sitting in the office of your psychoanalyst or whoever, and they're just talking nice to you and using this type of voice, and maybe they start with real easy questions about yourself and telling you to relax and getting you comfortable. Do you see how easy this is? A lot of the ASMR on YouTube you might want to be careful of, or don't fall asleep to. Sun, Moon, and Water. A friend of mine made a small blanket, told me it would help pain or an energy field, if I recall. I gave it to my grandmother. She threw away her painkillers. That's awesome. So I do believe in that to an extent. I've been a part of and seen people make quilts and blankets for those who are in the hospital. And I even have a little one that I bought at the Magic Consignment Shop. Oh, I'm so bummed out, guys. I can't even talk about it right now. Anyways, yeah, I do believe that good intentions match or mean a lot in this world, and you guys know that. But I had to come at this from a certain angle to give you the warning, because you don't know what materials are going into these things that you're ordering online. Any of them, anywhere. We just don't know, okay? Covert hypnosis, okay? Hypnotic induction is the process that a hypnotist used to put the client into a state where they are more open to suggestion. Covert hypnosis, conversational hypnosis. It's kind of when you try to influence somebody with a conversation, and maybe you're talking in a certain way, or even just you gaslight them and you say, nah, you don't need that. You're right. You don't need that. Like the girl does about the taco in the commercial. You don't need that taco. They're too messy anyway. And they're like, man, I want one now. The mannequin was per Wilhelm Reich's instructions. And again, I'm not condemning anyone. I just started reading about him, and if they persecuted him in the media, he very well may have been onto something. Honestly, his picture, I got the same, and I don't want to get woohoo with it. I try not to use these words. I don't even talk about this stuff with you guys. I just use different terminology. But when looking at the picture of Wilhelm, I got the same sense that I got when I looked at, oh, come on, Jen. Tesla. Sorry. I don't know why. They're not in the same field, but I just got that, like, feeling. The type of hypnosis I want you guys to look at. I'm only sharing what I can recall from 1965. We can do a deep dive into a couple of these people if you guys like. I did a video on this on the other channel. I don't think it's still up. What is Ericksonian hypnosis? Named for Milton Erickson, the father of modern hypnotherapy, is a type of hypnosis that uses metaphors, storytelling, and indirect suggestions instead of direct suggestions or commands. Remember when I told you when this began for me, everybody around me wanted to tell me a certain type of story, right? And that certain things, certain words stuck out. I do not consent to being hypnotized. I do not consent to this, just so the universe is aware of it, so God is aware of it. This really went against my natural order. People have done this against my consent more than once, and it's not good. Truth, our true living word, is literally in our face. The flat, dry land, fish of the sea, creepy, crawly things, breath in a man, the firmament, beasts of the field, green plants bearing seed, the great lights in the heavens. Exactly. There's a verse in the Bible that says those who but look around and deny the power of God are the fools. Something like that. Are foolish in God's sight, Ericksonian techniques. This is the most common one that is used among the occult today openly in the in conversations and in the media. This is the one that you should be most familiar with. That way, you can safeguard yourself against it, and your thoughts are your own. Even if you don't, what if you don't have an opinion on orange juice? What if you just want to know if you flippin' like orange juice? But somebody's been suggesting to you, or using a covert method of hypnosis. What if they are doing, welcome, thank you for being here. What if they're using this, right? And you don't even know your own opinion. That's how I feel about my children. They don't even know the full story of Christ. They don't know the full gospel. They don't even know they have a choice. But other people influence them, just like they have all of the kids in school now. I'm not saying it's not my fault. It is my fault. They got some of it, but it might have been too late or I don't know. I didn't do things right. So now I try to make things right by helping other people see what's happening around them every single day. Is it reptiles? I don't know. I've never seen one. In my opinion, it doesn't flippin' matter if it's reptiles, greys, demons, kings, queens, priests, nuns, who else? Rabbis, sheiks, gurus, adults, child, whoever's doing it needs to stop. I don't care, point blank. Like, I don't care if you're an alien. I don't care if you're a reptilian. I don't care if those things exist. We should still respond to all of these tactics and issues in the same manner. We should still act the same way. We should behave the same way, right? And knowing that these things are out there and that they're being used against you, you can then make sure you have your shield of armor up every day. You see, and this is why we ask for the full armor of God, because what is it? You have the girdle of truth, right? If you are living girded in truth, meaning girded up like built up in truth. If you are just walking in truth, man, you're covered, you're protected, right? You have the breastplate of righteousness. Well, if you have truth, then you're going to be walking righteously. If you have a breastplate on, you're going to be walking straight and uprightly, right? Righteous. All of these things are meant as protection. The virtues, right? The virtue of patience leads you to all the other virtues. It's the door of all the other virtues. You're not going to get to any of the other graces unless you control your patience, right? These things all work together. And these techniques, how do you defeat somebody trying to manipulate your mind or get you to buy a delusion? By walking in light and truth, by not accepting lies, and by not lying yourself and not lying to yourself. This stuff is out there. Doesn't matter who's doing it. You need to be aware of it. We don't need to react to everything. We don't need to even respond to everything. And in fact, it's not always good to give your energy to negative things and to even bring awareness to them. The Bible tells us that too. It is a shame to even speak of what is done in the covers of darkness. These people who all they talk about is harming of children, and they get very graphic about it. There's something wrong in their minds too. And I'm being honest, I have children. I have spoken out against this. I lost everything important to me in my life because I came out against a small sect of the rainbow community because I did not like what was going on in my children's school. And I lost everything. And I'm even telling you, if all somebody's channel is talking about is the harming of children, and it's very graphic in nature, I don't care what truth they say they're telling, it's a lie. They want your mind on wicked things. They want your mind stuck in the gutter. They don't want you advancing. They don't want you upgrading. They don't want you leveling up. They don't want your frequency high. They want you low like them. We don't need to be. It is shameful what the wicked do, but rather expose it. Yes, expose it, but don't dwell on it. We're not supposed to live there, right? We're not supposed to live there in their shame and condemnation. We say, hey, you know what? This is going on. Got to stop it. Stop that stuff. This is why I expose what's happening to me and what has happened to me, because it stops them in their tracks. But I'm not exposing the people that are doing it to me. I'm not gossiping against people. Okay? The vengeance is for the Lord. I come against the spirit that is making these people do this thing. Ephesians 6:11. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against the spiritual aspects that are wicked, and they are in high places, meaning they are in the principalities that lord over our realm. God placed angels in certain places to watch over our realm, like you have governors, almost the same thing. But some of them fell. We are supposed to expose them, but we're not supposed to sit and listen to the graphic details. No. There's a balance to be had. We expose them, say they're harming children, and then it's for the authorities and the parents, praise God, and God to heal them. But we're not supposed to talk about it. We're not supposed to show pictures of it. Not everybody needs to know that that's going on or see the details of that. You will corrupt young minds. And that's what's happening now. Some think they're doing good and they're corrupting people. And I know you're very esoteric, and I know whoever you are that you're very, you're about the experience. Hey, we're all just here for experience. That's not true. It's just not true, and I won't buy it. You're welcome here. But that's one tenet that I'm not going to ever change of myself. We're not here just for experience. That's part of it, but there is good and bad. And we are supposed to be doing certain things and then not doing other things. The graphic nature that our society has taken everything to, it's gross, honestly. It's gross and it's repugnant. Again, even those who say they're trying to help children, look, all you're talking about is these horrid acts that are done to them. You're not helping any of them. You're not saving them. These people on YouTube that talk about this. And I get sent the videos all the time. Don't send me no more of that dude's videos. Like, I don't like that guy. Occult 101, Science 101. I don't like him. He sounds like Gilbert Godfrey to me. And he's stuck. That's all he talks about. We're not supposed to do that. So anyway, this is being used against you and your children on a daily basis. It is a treatment modality practiced internationally by medical and mental health providers who wish to utilize experiential techniques and practical problem solving. Yeah, but you're trying to it seems like you're trying to justify what these people are doing, and it's wrong. Like, we cannot lose that sense of right and wrong unless and until God wipes out the darkness completely. He's not here he is with us, but we are here to walk this out. We need to know what behaviors are unacceptable. And sitting around talking about the ways in which people harm children is disgusting because it's a repugnant act to begin with. And all those people do need brought to justice. But I told you what would probably is going to happen with that. And see, I'm not into like fortune not today. Is a type of hypnosis that uses metaphor storytelling, so we know that. How to do it? How do you do this? Using stories, metaphors, and symbols in order to get to the unconscious. So instead of what you may have seen a stage hypnotist say, you're getting sleepy, Ericksonian would say, it's easy for you to go into a trance. The vague language. You see a lot of this in ASMR videos if you want to understand it better. We're seeing a lot of it in the gender identity communities and issues that are arising in our society today. You're seeing a lot of that. People trying purposely to influence somebody else to another way of thinking. Now, is there something inherently wrong with that? No, not in and of itself. The problem is that you already know that person maybe said no, that they're not down with doing whatever it is you want them to do. But you go ahead and you use these techniques on them anyway. That would be going against their consent. That would be going against natural law. You are now transgressing against another human's nature, right? Transgressing to go against the nature of another. What is the difference between traditional and Ericksonian hypnosis? Ericksonian hypnosis tends to focus on solutions, whereas traditional hypnosis tends to focus on the problem. That's my big problem with therapists, is that they focus on, you have to talk about your problems. They already happened. Why do you got to go talk about them? And in today's society, where a lot of people are into Marxism, fascism, socialism, and which is rebranded communism, they do not respect your privacy. HIPAA is not respected. HIPAA laws are not respected. People are demanding your medical history and they don't even know you. That's against HIPAA. Like, you can't do that. It's against the law. People are doing it. That's why I say the lawless one is here. As much as we don't like Biden, perhaps if he's the Antichrist, I'm honestly going to be disappointed, but you never know. Is it real? Hypnotherapy techniques have been used successfully for over 50 years. Now, this is what they're telling us. Who knows how long they've used them? And what have I told you? They tell us what MK Ultra is. It's a series of flickering images and then suggestions used while a person is sat in front of a screen, right? With their eyes open. Dude, that's television. They're presenting it to us like, oh my God, look, it's at Montauk and it's underground and there's all these facilities. Our own homes are the FEMA camp. They don't need a FEMA camp. In a FEMA camp, they would have to take care of us. We are in the FEMA camp in our home. They've just made it everything easier now. We don't need to be in a camp. We don't need to be together. It's not a good thing for us to be together, probably. Man, guys gotta start thinking. And all it takes is us standing firm and peacefully resisting, saying, no, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing this. The longer you do it, with the more things you do it with, the more of us that do it, it will go along programming. Exactly. Yes. And a lot of us are past that point. We know that. What are the benefits? I don't want to get into benefits. Can it be helpful? I'm sure that it is in some point, but in and of itself, is it always helpful? No. Depends on whose hands it's in, like anything else. We use words like it's easy to be aware of, or you may notice. You may notice the temperature of the air, or you may not. See if you're someone who's easily suggestible. Say, for example, someone wants to smoke with you. Wacky tobacco. Hey, have a smoke with me. Sure, I'll smoke with you. And then they start saying things that maybe you're like, man, you don't usually talk like this. Why are you talking like this? This is what happened to me, and I picked up on it, but not everybody picks up on it. And for me, it was very covert. It was very nasty. It was very debasing, the things that were done to me and have been done to me. And I think I was meant to lose my life. Now, I could be like the Sherry Shriner and go to the narcissistic point of view with me. I removed my TV from my home. I had to appear in court. I refused to succumb to duress. You had to go to court for getting rid of your TV? So therefore, one gets what they ask for. And Jean, I'm not going to tell you again. Children do not ask to be abused. Whoever you are, children do not ask to be abused. I'll block you from the channel. I'm not dealing with that type of person anymore on here. It's not all experience. No, well, you get what you deserve. Not all the time. Not all the time. It rains on the just and unjust. Bad things happen to good people all the time. Good things happen to bad people all the time. Children do not ask to be abused. Women do not ask to be violated. Both of those things have happened to me and people I love. Therefore, I will not entertain comments like that. I hope that's understood. I don't care what YouTube standards are. They're lower than mine. I'm not going to deal with people who are saying, oh, we're in this realm because you get what you ask for in reincarnation. And what child deserves that? What kind of lesson is that going to teach anyone at that age? Like, I'm just not dealing with it. I'm not. But also, at the same time, I'm not going to sit and talk about just that all the time. There's a balance to be had. You're telling yourself to think I'm saying that. Okay, I'm done. Then basically nothing you say matters, so why say anything? Nothing you say matters, and Jean, if that's the way it is, really, then nothing you say even matters. So stop commenting at all. Thank you, 12 Corinthians. What is the hypnotic handshake? Oh my gosh. As you greet your visitor, you extend your hand. In my case, it would be the right hand, as if to shake his hand. Automatically or unconsciously extends his right hand as if to grasp yours. I don't even want to read how they do that. So we went over. Thank you for calling out. No problems. Black and white thinking, Jen. Yeah, I know. I hope you're not talking about me. I mean, if you are talking about me, I'll take it as constructive criticism, and I will think about that and meditate on it after the video. But I hope you're not talking about me because, okay. I do value what you have to say, Sun, Moon, and Water, and I appreciate your opinion. And I know that the world isn't revolving around me, but I do care about what you think. So I try to be respectful to you as well. So anyways, I'm going to jump off here now. We've done Ericksonian hypnosis. Okay, what's next? We're going to get into a weird place. We're going to do something on magic wands, but that's all I'm going to say about it. No, the Masonic issue. Oh. You're going to have to shoot me an email about that. I'd like to know more about, like, what you're thinking on that. I'd like to get into that, not frame of mind for myself. I'd like to understand how they think a little better. What was that? Oh, it's a K. Okay. People looks like stealing. I love you greatly. Have beautiful. You have a beautiful day as well. I love you greatly. I love everybody. I just am not going to entertain certain issues here on the channel. Amen. We do not wrestle against flesh and blood. Those of us who follow Christ know it's evil spirits and dark principalities. Amen. The Corinthians 12 teacher. Amen. I haven't gotten a notification for you recently. Sorry. We got to call out the evil. Right. I agree. We do have to call it out. And then we have to stand firm. But we don't have to live in the evil itself. You know what I mean? Like the wicked deeds, those we should turn away from. You know what I'm saying? It's not a good place for our heads to be. Christ said to keep our mind on heavenly things. So, yes, you expose it, but then you don't, like I'm not going to expose a certain evil and then give everybody online instructions on how to make a bomb. Like, I'm not one of them people. That's dumb. I'm not going to expose, hey, there's a bomb there. You know, this is creatively talking. This is not me literally speaking. I don't know anything about literal bombs. I'm talking like a cartoon like Tom and Jerry, right? Or who uses the Acme things? Whoever it is, the Roadrunner. Or the little chicken. Yeah, the little chicken always called stuff out. You know, you can't be calling it out, but then trying to live there and dwell in it yourself. If you look at it too long and you live in it too long, you will become like that. I don't want to know how they do that stuff. I honestly don't. I know too much about that stuff now. They've exposed too much. Like, I don't want to know that stuff. And people are becoming corrupted just by that knowledge. Do you see what I'm saying? Not everybody needs that knowledge, especially little children that has never happened to. They don't need to be hearing adults discussing that online or on television, I don't think. That's my personal, that's my opinion. I've made mistakes with my children. I was provided for the family. I was not here. Other adults in their life went against my express wishes, very clear wishes, that I stated that I did not want my children around. So I do this out of a type of penance, but also because we're all supposed to work to eat, right? And I need to be working. I need to be doing something. If the town is done hiring me, because I expose stuff like this, well, then I need to still be connecting with other believers like this, like Corinthians 12, like Sun, Moon, Water. I need to be connecting with you and at least having people to pray for, having people to learn from, having people to call me out when I'm out of line and say, hey, Jen, you might be drifting too far on that one. You know, maybe you want to pull it back a little. I need that. That's why I'm here. And that's finally the last reason why I did not like the Sherry Shriner book was because movies and music. Yeah, you gotta be very careful now. And finally, to end this video and kind of wrap it up and put a bow on it, that's the final reason I did not like the Sherry Shriner book. It was not well written, I won't lie. You couldn't tell she went to school for journalism. Not only that, I thought it was very narcissistic. A lot of it downplayed God and overplayed her role in things, and I don't think we should be doing that. If I do that, and I'm sure that I do because I'm human and I have pride, I'm stuck in pride like everybody else. I'm sorry if I do that at moments, and I'm not here to do that. I'm not here to promote that type of self-love. Forgiveness for self. Don't condemn yourself. But don't think too much of yourself as to where you stop learning and receiving and being coachable, because I did that and it led to no good. So if I ever sound a little self-centered, I apologize. I'm still learning too. And sometimes I don't know my own tone of voice or how things sound to other people. So in conclusion, I think that her story, much like Lori Daybell and Chad and Lori Daybell, I think that unfortunately the truths that they do share, that have been shared, and Alex Jones and David Icke, unfortunately the truths that have been shared are overshadowed by extremism and narcissism, and those are not a good mix. And I try to steer clear of people like that regardless, even if they're telling the truth. I don't want to get stuck in their mentality. And so Sherry Schreiner shared a lot of truth, much like Alex Jones shared a lot of truth, but it is not all to be trusted. I love you guys. I hope you have a blessed day. I'm going to do another video upload just about a short testimony, something strange again that happened to me, things that I need to keep track of just so I can look back and say, hey, look, I'm not crazy. All these strange things did happen and are still happening, no matter how many times I pray and repent. They're far from me now, but they're still occurring in my life. So I always need prayers. I'm going to put up a prayer request thing on the community page too. If you need any special prayers, that's one thing I'm able to do for people. Thank you, Corinthians 12. You're very, very appreciated. And I might not say a lot on people's comments right now, but I do love you guys. I'm going through it again. So prayers are always appreciated. Oh gosh, this has been much too long. Stay blessed. I got to take the dogs out or I'm going to have a mess.